Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us one more time. My name is Juan Carlos Brando, and we're starting this show with the attorney Francis Fungseng in the law firm of the attorney Margaret W. Wong, who is one of the experts working in this field of immigration. He is one of the main attorneys in the law firm, and I'm sure he's able to answer your questions regarding to immigration. So please feel free to send your questions. Feel free to ask any question that you have, and that you can send it through our Facebook Live. And don't forget that the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. By the way, the attorney Margaret W. Wong, she built this office starting in 1977. She started from nothing, just one desk, no secretary, and she built this major law firm in the United States. Now she has about 15 attorneys working with her and for her, working for you and helping in your immigration case. So if you have any question, don't forget that the law firm has 9 offices in the United States of America, and the phone number is just one, 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984 is the phone number that you need to call if you have any other question or need more information. Let's welcome the attorney Francis Fungseng, who is one of the head attorneys in the law firm. How are you doing today, Attorney Francis?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, attorney. And well, I would like to start by talking about what's going on with the situation of the comprehensive reform that people have been waiting since 2021, 2022. Now we are on 2023, and people are wondering if this is going to happen or it's just going to stay there because of, politic issues.
Well, immigration reform has been talked about for over 20 years, and unfortunately, nothing really has happened in these past 20 years. There's been a lot of talk about focusing on dreamers. So people who came before when they were children and didn't necessarily have a choice in coming to the United States. And DACA was a big improvement for them. But now there's a lot of problems with the DACA program at the Supreme Court that might go away. So I think a big focus for Congress right now is how to help these dreamers, these DACA recipients. Okay, but unfortunately, anytime you talk about immigration reform, you also have to talk about border security, and benefits, and attaching all these different things to the immigration reform rather than focusing on very specific things, how to help certain people.
Yes, and now that you mentioned DACA, what happens if someone came to the United States and without inspection when they were kids, and they want to travel abroad? Are they approving the advanced parole at the moment for DACA holders, or is something that is not going on right now? And also, can people file for the first time for DACA if they never did it before?
Well, as you've read in the news, DACA right now, the program is at the Supreme Court because a lot of states have filed lawsuits trying to stop the DACA program, saying it's illegal. And so that's why right now, the Immigration Service is accepting new DACA applications, but they are not processing those applications. So you can submit it, but immigration will not process it. They are only processing extensions of existing approved DACA recipients. So that's number one. Number two, if you need to travel outside the United States and you have a good reason to do so, usually a humanitarian reason, if you want to visit like a sick or elderly relative, then you can apply for what's called advanced parole on Form I-131 if you have approved DACA. Okay, so if your DACA has already been approved, then you can apply for this travel permission, and once it's approved, you can use that to leave and re-enter the United States without abandoning your DACA status.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis, for this information. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them down in this post. We are live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So please don't forget that you can send your message. Just send your question, and the attorney Francis Fungseng is going to answer each and every one of them. So the first question we get today is, I would like to travel to the United States on a visa. I am from Thailand. How can I get it?
Okay. Well, when we talk about travel visas, the most common type of visa is the tourist or visitor visa, and that's the B1, B2. B1 is for business visitors. You want to come here for a meeting or for a conference or to meet potential clients. B2 is for tourists coming here for a vacation or to visit family. Okay. Right now, unfortunately, because of the pandemic and staffing issues, it's not easy to get a visitor visa appointment at the US Embassy. In the past, you can get an appointment within a couple of days, but now it might take a few months. Unless you have an emergency situation, such as a medical emergency, or there's been a death in the family in the United States, or some sort of severe business emergency, you might be able to get an expedited appointment. Otherwise, all you can do is create an online account with the US Embassy in Thailand, pay the visa fee, submit a DS-160 online visa application, and then you'll see a calendar in your account to schedule the appointment. That appointment date might be a few months later, and then you can try to request an expedited appointment after you choose the most recent one.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis, for this answer. Don't forget that you can call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984 if you need more information about immigration. And in this case, when somebody has a concern about immigration, it's better to ask to the real attorneys, to the actual attorneys, because some other people will give you maybe some ideas, but those ideas could be wrong, because people in general have just a general or superficial knowledge, but an attorney has studied and prepared for that and have been working on that field for several years. So you don't want to talk to somebody that is just going to give them their personal opinion or their point of view, instead of talking to an attorney who is going to look to your documentation, and is going to make a judgment based on the information that you are providing them. So if you need information or you need to make an appointment with one of the attorneys in any of the 9 offices of the attorney Margaret W. Wong, please just call the phone number 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question is the following. Good afternoon. Thank you for this space. I have a question. If I entered with my mom when I was 3 years old, then they took me back to Mexico and brought me here at the age of 15, do I qualify for any benefit? I am 25 now and have a 4-year-old daughter born in the United States. Thank you.
Okay, so if you are 25 years old right now, that means that you came to the United States most recently in 1998 or 1997. Okay. The big question now would be, since you came before the age of 16, did you apply for DACA? Okay. When the DACA program came out, and if you did not, whether you should apply for DACA right now. Because of this lawsuit, you know that the new DACA application is not going to be processed, so it doesn't really make sense to apply right now. If you already have DACA, then you have a work authorization, a work permit based on that DACA. Now, right now, there's no permanent benefit for people with DACA, but maybe on in the future, Congress will actually come up with something. Now, aside from DACA, what else can you do? If you came illegally at the age of 3, and you were here for more than 1 year, and then you left the United States and came back in illegally again, unfortunately, you have what's called a permanent bar or perm bar. And that means that in order to get the green card, usually, you would have to leave the United States for 10 years before you can apply to come back. So if you get married to a US citizen, or if your daughter turns 21 and sponsors you, you would have to leave the United States for 10 years before you can come back if you are subject to this permanent bar. If you are not subject to this permanent bar, then you would still need a waiver because you've been in the United States illegally for more than 1 year. Now, if you have the DACA and you got the DACA before you turned 18 years old, then none of that time after the age of 18 counts against you as illegal time. So there are a lot of moving parts here depending on when you came to the United States, when your DACA was approved, and all of that. Now, aside from that, your daughter is 4 years old. She was born in the United States. You've been in the United States for at least 10 years. If you are put into removal proceedings, that means if immigration starts a deportation case against you, if you've been in the United States for longer than 10 years, you can be eligible for what's called cancellation of removal or 10-year cancellation. And that's if you've been in the United States for at least 10 years, you are a person of good moral character within those 10 years, that means no serious criminal records, you have a parent, a spouse, or child who's a US citizen or green card holder, and that child would experience exceptional hardship. Life would be very tough for that child if you had to leave the United States. Then an immigration judge can approve your green card. But this only happens if you are put into deportation. Otherwise, usually people with DACA are not put into deportation unless they get in trouble with the police, and then that DACA is rescinded or canceled. Okay, so right now, there isn't much you can do actively. I would wait and see if there's some benefit for DACA recipients and definitely keep renewing that DACA.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis. Don't forget that you can call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And if you want to make an appointment, these are the cities that the attorneys from the law firm of Margaret W. Wong have offices. One of them is Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And the phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. The next question is, I am from Afghanistan. I came here at the beginning of the conflict. My family is somewhere in the Middle East. With my status, can I apply for them?
Well, I guess the question is, what status do you have? Do you have approved refugee or asylum status? Are you a permanent resident based on what's called the special immigrant for Afghans who helped the United States government while over there? So it depends on what legal status you have. There was a program to assist Afghan citizens to come to the United States. So your refugee status is approved. Okay. You can apply for definitely for your spouse and children by filing an I-730, okay? Because your spouse and children can accompany you as refugees. If we're talking about a parent, then you'll have to become a US citizen before you can sponsor a parent, okay? And then other family members, unfortunately, like brothers and sisters, they would have to get their own refugee status, not based on your status, but their own status. Because otherwise you'd be treated just like any other brother or sister. You'd have to become a US citizen and then sponsor your brothers and sisters. And that would take at least 14 years because of the limited number of green cards that can be approved for brothers and sisters each year.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis, for this answer. And well, that's why it's very good to talk to an attorney. And the attorney Francis is one of the most awarded attorneys in the law firm of Margaret W. Wong. And he has been awarded several times for his good work, his good job, and ethics and professionalism that he has working for immigrants. So thank you so much, Attorney Francis, for this time that you dedicate uh, to our audience to answer their questions, because some people just have questions and they never ask anything because they don't know how or who to ask one of these questions. So that's why we're really thankful of this space that you take to answer the questions from people. The next question is coming from our YouTube channel. And this person says, I am from Kenya, entered the US through Mexico, was turned back the first time, and then I made it in. Is there a chance that they keep records? They took my prints, but that was 15 years ago.
If you were fingerprinted by US Customs and Border Protection, then your name and your prints are in the record. Okay, so there's no hiding from that. If you were turned back, that means you have a voluntary return and not a deportation. Then the ability to come back to the United States should not be harmed. If you actually were deported based on what's called expedited removal, then you'll have a problem coming back because of that deportation. But after a period of 5 years, you don't need a waiver of that deportation. So this happened 15 years ago, so it should not affect your future. But if you're trying to apply for a tourist visa or apply for the green card, then you would have to disclose this problem from 15 years ago.
Okay. Thank you so much, Attorney Francis. Would it be recommended to file for some records and see if this person could have any records?
Right. I mean, there's two ways to get these kind of records. The first is to request an FBI background check. So you submit your fingerprints and pay a fee to the FBI to get a copy so they can run your prints to see if your name or prints are in that system. It would not affect your future, so don't worry about that. The second way is to submit your fingerprints to US Customs. It's called US Visit, to check their entry-exit border records. And then that can be by mail or it can be online. And so those are the two different databases to check.
Okay. Thank you so much, Attorney Francis. Don't forget that you can call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And the phone number that you can call, you also can go online and find imwong.com. imwong.com is the website that you can visit to search for more information, and also our YouTube channel or our Facebook page that is up to date every single day with the information that you need to keep track of what's going on in the immigration field. Thank you so much. The next question is, hello, my wife is US citizen. She has broken several phones. She punches me. I never touch her, but now she chased me with a knife. I called the police and they filed a report. Um, can I file a benefit for this situation?
Okay, so there's two different benefits I can think of based on this. So it sounds like you've encountered physical and emotional abuse, and you filed a police report to document that. So there's two different types of benefits we're talking about. One is the I-360, and that's a way to apply for the green card or US permanent residency based on your marriage to a US citizen and the fact that you are a victim of abuse. Okay. Remember, it's not just physical abuse, it can also be emotional abuse. So the I-360 is the petition that you would file. Your spouse doesn't have to file anything. You would file the I-360 along with the I-485, which is the actual green card application, and document that, number one, you are a victim of abuse. So you can write a statement about the cell phones, about the physical abuse, and a copy of the police report. You can show you're a person of good moral character. That means no serious criminal record if you run a background check with the local police department. Okay. And you also have to document that it's a real marriage, that you two are living together, including the marriage certificate, any documents of both of your names. Okay. You can apply for the green card, and that process would take about 1 year to complete. So that's number one. Number two, it could be a U visa, which is for victims of qualifying crimes. Okay, so domestic violence could qualify you for a U visa. Now, the U visa, you have to show that you're willing to assist the police in their investigation, and the police are willing to sign the U visa application form. That's called an I-918 Supplement B. B as in boy. If the police department is willing to sign, then you can apply for the U visa. Unfortunately, that's taking about 5 years for immigration to process that visa. Now, if you have a legitimate case, then you can get a work permit based on that application after about 1 year, but you would have to wait that 5 years for the U visa approval, then wait another 3 years with the U visa before you can apply for the green card. So this is a long process. It could take 8 or 9 years before you actually get the green card. So based on this case, I would recommend that you try the I-360, victim of abuse by a U.S. citizen spouse.
Thank you so much, Attorney Francis. The phone number is 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984 is the phone number that you need to call if you need more information about your case. 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984. The next question we have is, if I am married in India, do I need to divorce to get married here in the United States?
Okay. Now, if you are legally married in any country around the world, then the United States will recognize that marriage. I'm not just talking about a religious ceremony. The marriage has to be registered with the local government in India. If it is a legal marriage, then the United States will recognize that marriage, and you have to get a divorce before you can get remarried in the United States. Now, that divorce could happen in India, it could happen in the United States. The United States will recognize either one as long as you comply with the requirements for the divorce, because divorcing in the United States requires a service of process, or requires you living in the state for a certain period of time. So you have to look into the laws about divorce.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis. Well, we have a lot of questions regarding to family, but now we have a very different one. And thank you for this question that we are receiving. The phone number, don't forget, is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. And this is the question. Hello, attorney. I have a question. I am from the United Kingdom and I would like to start a business in the United States. Can you briefly give me an idea of how to get started?
Okay. Well, there's different types of visas that you can use. The one that comes immediately to mind would be the investor visa. Okay, it's a temporary work visa called an E2 that certain countries can qualify for. So the United Kingdom qualifies for the E2 visa. That means that if you want to invest into a US business, it could be a startup business, it could be investing into an existing business, then you can apply for an E2 visa to come to the United States to manage that investment. Okay, so starting a business, if you already have a business plan and you have a business location, okay, then you have to show that you have put money at risk, and it has to be a substantial amount of money. Usually we recommend at least 100,000 US dollar investment to show that as substantial. Now that money can't just be sitting in a bank account, it has to be at risk. So you have to spend it. So it could be buying a piece of land, or it could be buying equipment for this business. It could be buying inventory. It could be using startup expenses. So you have to put that money at risk. That amount of money has to be substantial, okay? And then you have to take certain steps to make sure that the business is far enough along that you can document that you'll be work for that business when you come to the United States. So you should have a business location, you should have the business plan, there should be a tax identification number from the IRS, you should have a business bank account, okay? And you should have maybe some potential customers, or at least the business plan showing how you'll get those customers. After you've gathered all this paperwork, you can submit it to the US Embassy in London, and then the e-visa team will review it there. And if it passes their initial test, they'll allow you to schedule an interview to apply for this E2 visa.
Okay, this is an interesting question. So thank you so much for texting us. We only have 4 more minutes. So if you have any other question, please write them down, and we're gonna go ahead and answer your questions regarding to immigration. So the phone number is 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984 is the phone number that you need to call to get in touch with the office and make an appointment in any of the offices in the United States. Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland, Columbus, Memphis, Minneapolis, Nashville, New York, and Raleigh, North Carolina are the cities where the offices are located. However, you can call if you are in California or Texas or any other state that you are dealing with immigration, and the attorneys are going to be able to help you out in any place of the United States of America. You just need to make a call. The phone number is 216-279-3984. 216-279-3984. This person says, I have dual nationality. I am Venezuelan and Italian, and enter on my Italian passport. How long does it take for a father to get green card for a son request? Um, I am 70 years old.
Okay, so if you have a US citizen son or daughter, that means the US citizen son or daughter is over the age of 21. Then that son or daughter can file a petition for you and sponsor you for the green card. Okay. How long does it take? After you file all the paperwork, within about 30 days, you'll be scheduled for a fingerprint appointment. And after that, you're waiting for the green card to be processed. There might be an in-person interview, or the interview might be waived, which means the green card is just approved and mailed out to you. I've seen cases take about anywhere from 8 months all the way up to 2 years because of how slow the immigration process has been going. This is different from marriage cases because marriage cases are always scheduled for an interview. But parent cases, many times they're not scheduled for an interview, especially if you don't have any kind of immigration problems or any kind of criminal record. You usually will not be scheduled for an interview, but it takes longer to be processed. So it'll probably take longer than 12 months for you to get the green card. The important thing for you, if you apply for the green card, you cannot leave the United States, travel overseas, unless you have advance parole approved, which is the temporary travel permission, or the green card is approved. If you leave the United States before either of those things happen, you abandon the green card application, it is automatically canceled.
Okay, thank you so much. And this person is adding one last part of the question. Can I apply for work permit during my wait?
Yes, when you apply for the green card, there's the I-130, which is your son's petition for you. There's the I-485, which is your permanent residency application. There's also the I-765, which is the temporary work permit, and the I-131, which is the advanced parole, the travel authorization. You submit all of those at the same time, and while you are waiting for the green card, then the Immigration Service can approve the work permit and the travel authorization that you can use while you wait.
Again, I am just curious about this last question. Is this work permit free?
Right now, there is no separate government fee for the work permit. So the filing fee for the green card application, the I-45, is $1,225. That covers the work permit, it covers the advanced parole travel authorization, and it also covers any renewals in case your process takes longer than 12 months. Okay? Now, the Immigration Service has announced some new fees. It's just a proposal for now, but they made the announcement the past week. It's going to increase the green card application fee and also start charging fees for the individual work permit and travel authorization. Now, that's not official yet, it's just a proposal, but we're looking, that's going to happen at some time in the next year.
And do you have time for one more question?
Sure, of course.
Okay, so hello, sir. My entry in Washington, D.C. was denied. I complained and I am assigned 7-digit number from Traveler's Redress Inquiry Program. Is it positive thing or I am on watch list? Should I book an attorney?
Okay, so the important thing is, why were you denied entry? Usually what happens is when you arrive in the United States on a temporary visa or ESTA, you go through U.S. Customs. Sometimes you have to go through what's called secondary inspection, which means you go into the back room and they ask you additional questions. Now, if the Customs Protection finds you inadmissible, that means they do not allow you to come into the United States, they have to give you a reason. Usually there will be a refusal letter and a sworn statement that you will sign with all the questions and answers that were asked and answered during that interview. So I would recommend that you come see us or another attorney with that sworn statement so we can take a look to see why were you denied entry. Is this going to harm you into the future, or is this a one-time situation? That's number one. Number two, you already sought an inquiry with the Traveler's Redress Program. Now that's part of the Customs and Border Protection. If you feel that you were inappropriately denied entry, or you think that you are being confused with somebody else, or you think a mistake has been made, then you can actually do an inquiry or complain with this redress program, and then U.S. Customs and Border Protection will actually review your case and decide, was this inappropriate or was it appropriate? Okay? Just because you're assigned a number doesn't mean that it's complete. They will eventually send you a letter with their findings, okay, whether it is positive or negative. So I see that they mixed up someone else's documents with your documents and denied your entry. Okay, and so this could be a simple mix-up and mistake on their end. Hopefully, it's resolved through this CBP redress program. You will, before the pandemic, it took about 6 months to get an answer. Maybe it'll take longer now, but once you get that answer, take a look at it, you can show it to your attorney along with that sworn statement or refusal paperwork, and we can see what we can do.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney Francis. And please, if you need to call, don't forget to call. The phone number is 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. I'm not going to take more of your time, Attorney Francis. Thank you so much. See you next time, and have a good lunch.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And to all our audience, please don't forget to call 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984. Attorney Margaret W. Wong with the office with over 15 attorneys and 9 offices in the United States. To your service, 216-279-3984, 216-279-3984.